Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth.
Today's game is Hollow Body. Forget the Silent Hill 2 remake, Hollow Body aims to emulate the original style. Does it work or should it have been left behind? Let's find out. Hollow Body is a horror game done in the style of the PS2 Silent Hills, which means things like hybrid behind the back and fixed camera angles, obscure puzzles, and lots of atmosphere. You play as Mika, whose partner Sasha was part of a decontamination team for a quarantined village ravaged by some kind of horrible Lovecraftian disease. Well, big surprise, Sasha didn't come home for dinner, so Mika has to descend into the world's worst British town to try and find her. The story overall is decent enough, with the big surprise being the world outside the village is actually cyberpunk, though it didn't play too much into the story. Mika's voice actress does a great job of both speaking and narrating the story, and despite its short length, it does enough to keep you engaged. Gameplay is straight out of the PS2 era of horror games. You'll have a choice between 3D or tank controls, and as mentioned, the game mixes things up, with some areas being behind the back, while others cut to a more cinematic fixed camera angle. What you'll mostly be doing is finding items to solve puzzles and exploring areas to figure out where to go next, all while trying to not become monster food. The puzzles are use items on the right thing variety for most, though there was a few clever ones I actually had to take notes to solve. That being said, none really stumped me. As for those monsters, there's a handful of grossly mutated humanoids of the very thin and stringy variety that are honestly really unsettling, as well as some dogs because there's always mutant dogs. Combat's definitely better than its inspiration, but still isn't that great, with a surprisingly strong melee combo as well as some auto-aiming gun combat. You also can bash enemies with the guitar, which I appreciated. The game knows how to be a slow burn, where despite its short runtime, it takes its time to reveal the enemy and lets you soak in the absolutely dripping atmosphere and unnerving score. And really, that's Hollow Body, a throwback horror game made by one person who's also named Nathan, so he's already a real one, hoping to emulate the best bit of the genre while injecting some new ideas. What I like about Hollow Body? Well, the game is genuinely tense and creepy. I wouldn't say it's scary per se, though that kind of depends on the player, but it nails that oppressive atmosphere that weighs down on you that the Silent Hill games did so well. Additionally, the setting is really unique. At first, I was worried cyberpunk horror wouldn't click, but it turns out a pre-cyberpunk city ravaged by disease and infection is actually an awesome horror setting. Also, it's British, which is just automatically scary. And lastly, the puzzles are generally quite good, with even the more logical, leapy ones easy enough to figure out, as the game drops some decent hints, not to mention most puzzles are solved just with nearby items, so nothing too complex. When it comes to the bad, the game definitely has some unfortunate holdovers from its inspired era, the biggest one being lots of exploration into empty or confusing layouts. I get that in Silent Hill 2, you had to go into a million apartments, and only 3 had something important in them, but that doesn't mean your game should do that too. Additionally, I wish it had more save points, or the autosave triggered more often. Though the game is very easy, so you'll probably never die. If you do, the limited save points can make retreading areas frustrating, which can ruin the atmosphere. And lastly, I ended up pretty mixed on the story. Maybe it's because of its inspiration, but I was hoping for something stronger thematically, and with the ending I got, I felt I didn't get that. It is engaging and is very well voiced. It's just of the endings I saw, I felt they all just kind of petered out. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And Hollow Body was made for a very specific type of horror game enthusiast, and as someone who fits in that mold, I absolutely think it's worth playing, especially considering its low price. It's a throwback that takes all of the good and almost none of the bad from its inspiration, and is paired with some great monsters, oppressive atmosphere, and a really unique setting. If you are an old school horror game fan in any capacity, stop watching this review and go play Hollow Body. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played or heard of Hollow Body? Did you enjoy this era of horror games? Please let me know what you think in the comments, but regardless, go out there and make sure you give Hollow Body a look.